Hi, welcome to episode 24 of Virtualizedgeek's Tech Talk, the episode before VMworld. I'm really excited about VMworld this year because, one, I'm going for the first time, and I've never been, and it's San Francisco, one of my favorite cities. I've been spending the past few months actually in the Bay Area, so it'll be actually nice to make it to San Francisco. This episode of Virtualized Geek, though, we're not talking about VMworld. We're actually talking about something related to VMworld, which is virtualization training. A lot of you guys have asked me the question quite frequently, how do I get into virtualization? Doesn't matter if it's network virtualization, server virtualization, storage virtualization, but mainly I think a lot of my content has been geared towards people who are already familiar with virtualization and cloud computing, and a lot of the questions, especially since I've done a lot of the training videos, is how do I even get into virtualization? So let's talk about a few options. One, if you look at some of my earliest videos, they are quite boring but informative introduction to virtualization in general, virtualization and cloud computing. So basically, what's the difference between virtualization and cloud computing? What is virtualization? What is cloud computing? Is kind of the 3 or 4 videos I have available for you on my YouTube channel. The next area is getting kind of real world experience. So a lot of my videos walk you through after you've installed VMware Workstation, installing VMware ESXi on it. VMware is very generous with their evaluation programs. One, they give you most of their products in evaluation mode for 60 days. So you can get VMware Workstation version 9 for 60 days under eval. Sorry, that may be 30 days, but it's 30 to 60 days under eval. And then vSphere 5.1, the whole suite you can get for evaluation under 60 days. And what I've done until I became a vExpert was basically I build a lab, use it for 60 days, tear it down, and rebuild it. It can be a little irritating that you have to rebuild the environment, but it's actually pretty good practice, especially if you're new to virtualization. So that, kind of high level, how do I get the software? So, 2 ways to get the software. You can purchase the VMware Workstation straight out, which is roughly $150, $170, or $100 with a education discount. You need the actual VMware software, and we're talking about VMware specifically here, but you don't need to do just VMware. So you can go to 60-day evals, but KVM, Xen are both free virtualization platforms, and you can use either one for free as long as you want. And both KVM and Xen are very, very solid hypervisors, and they're very well used within the public, within the enterprise. VMware, of course, is the king of virtualization in the enterprise. So if you were to learn VMware, that has more career opportunities for you. But Xen, Server, and KVM also are great ways to at least get introduced to virtualization and virtualization topics. The next thing is probably hardware. So you've gotten the software, whether you've chosen VMware Workstation, VMware Workstation, VMware Player, which is free, which also can do nested VMs, or VirtualBox is an option that I haven't talked about, but you can Google VirtualBox and people will be more than happy to give you more detailed information about VirtualBox. So you've gotten that software layer. Now it's time for the hardware. Hardware can be a little bit of a challenge for some folks. Basically, if you have a PC that you bought recently in the past couple of years, it's going to have virtualization support. So AMD or Intel VT technology, at least 4 gigs of RAM. To be able to run a nested VM, so the ability to install VMware Workstation on your, let's say, Windows 7 laptop or Windows 8 laptop. You install VMware ESXi inside of VMware Workstation, and then inside of ESXi, you can start installing guest OSs to start learning about virtualization. So in order to do that, you need at least 4 gig of RAM, preferably 8. And if you can get 16, 16 will take you a long way in the types of labs you'll be able to do when you talk about doing some of the more advanced labs, like running Zen Desktop inside of VMware Workstation. You're going to need at least 16 gig of RAM. My workstation that I use is my beefy lab machine, has about 32 gig of RAM, and that allows me pretty much to do whatever I want. So that gives you your lab. So you have your software, you have your hardware, and now it's just a matter of finding labs. You can obviously look at some of the labs that I've done. Another way to get labs is to just Google. There's plenty of guys who do labs on YouTube outside of just me. Another option is to go with training videos. I like Train Signal. They have a $50 all-you-can-eat training videos. They have an excellent introduction to virtualization and VMware vSphere video, which gets us kind of into that next layer after you've done server virtualization, which is very mature. Let's talk about network virtualization. Network virtualization, it all happens within VMware. In the VMware world, it all happens with virtual switches and virtual distributed switches and all that. So if you have that base lab that we talked about, you'll be able to do all of the VMware networking you want inside of that VMware Workstation lab. A second option is to start looking at OpenSwitch, which gets a little bit advanced as you look at doing hypervisors other than VMware. OpenSwitch kind of becomes the de facto distributed switch. That lab that I described with the 4 to 8 gig workstation or laptop will do you fine for being able to start learning virtualization from the networking perspective. Then outside of that, there's really no big secret. It's like breaking into any other industry. Someone has to give you a shot. You have to prove yourself. Unfortunately, in order to get certified in VMware, you do have to take the formal class, which is quite expensive. It's basically about $3,500 for the self-paced class, about $5,000 to $6,000 for a VMware official course. Another option is that VMware has this thing called VMware Academy. So it's basically junior colleges and community colleges that offer you the same coursework, but via your community college, so you can get student loans if you can't afford to pay your community college rates in order to get the class necessarily to take the VMware certification. Once you have certification, it's a little bit easier to get a job in the industry once you have a VCP. And then outside of that, it's just more learning and studying. The best advice I can give you with ending off this video segment on becoming a network virtualization or server virtualization guru is that there's no secret sauce. You have to just read a lot, study a lot, subscribe to more guys like me, Train Signal videos, VMware education videos, VMware KB knowledge videos. There's an awful lot of introductory stuff on YouTube available. Stop by the Virtualizedgeek. Stop by this channel. Ask questions, but dig deep. VMware has a very big community. When you go to VMware's community page, the guys there are phenomenal. They'll answer any question that you have. So no secret sauce. Ask questions, read a lot, work hard, and study. If you have the lab available to you, you can do a lot. Well, that's it for this episode of Virtualizedgeek's Tech Talk. We'll talk to you throughout the week. I plan on having my first video from VMworld, more than likely Sunday. And as material comes up, I'll probably do more videos throughout the week. I'm actually planning on interviewing my wife, who's doing the VMware spousatives. So I'm looking forward to talking to you guys. Visit the website, virtualizedgeek.com. Like our videos, subscribe, talk to you next week.